What'd you say?
You look like you gained weight.
I look like I gained weight. Fuck you,
Yeah.
man. I look fucking.
Compared to your photo right now on your left, which is
Uh,
your profile picture in Teams, and now, therefore, bro.
If I continue to hear that. Welcome everybody to the Talk Shit Get Hit show. This is your very first episode. We got a great show for you, and we've got a very special, very special guest today. I'm your host Situ,
I'm your co-host Billy.
and we have something entertaining for you planned for today, I think. But before anything else, let me introduce you this special guest that we have. We've been friends with him for quite a number of years now. We met him in Myanmar. We met him in um, well, I think I first met him in Singapore. Actually, I'm not really sure. Whatever, forget about it. He is from Singapore, though. He's a young entrepreneur. We like to call him a serial entrepreneur because of the amount of things he likes to do and he's accomplished in life. And what we're trying to bring to you today is not just entertainment value, because some of this stuff can get funny, but it's more also for us to learn a bit from how a serial entrepreneur did it at such a young age, right? So, Gabriel Lim, serial entrepreneur from Singapore. What's up, Gabriel? How are you doing?
Hey, hi.
There
Oh
you
my
go.
gosh, serial entrepreneur. That's such a bad term. I don't term myself as a serial entrepreneur.
So humble.
So humble, man.
Yeah. Anyway, I met you in Yangon.
Okay.
I think. Yeah, I met you in Yangon.
Same. First I saw you, I didn't
Actually,
know.
I met in Yangon.
Nice.
Yeah, 4 years ago.
Anyway,
Yeah.
so we've heard you have experiencing some issues this morning. How are you doing? Do you want
Not
to
the
talk
best.
about it?
I think it's the Singapore water being too clean.
I see.
You got diarrhea for being too clean with like water.
Oh
You
yeah.
have, you have no respect for people who have shit water every day, bro. You understand that there are people who don't have
Not
these
used to
like
it, man. Water too clean. Body's rejecting clean stuff.
So
you drank too much. What happened?
Yeah, man. Went out with some friends. Actually
You're
from
supposed to say
Myanmar
a
as
name.
well.
You're supposed to reveal a name.
No man, everyone knows it.
I wanted to give you the name, but then I was like, no, shouldn't. Maybe I'll just DM you later. They can be the second guest.
Uh, nice. But
Yeah,
you
but
have a
yeah,
name, Mr. Clean.
drinking culture in Singapore is something that I'm not used to. Yeah. Ugh.
Well, because
Anyways,
it's expensive.
no, yeah, it's definitely significantly more expensive than Myanmar, but I think it's just the way Singaporeans drink. They drink a bit, they drink a bit too fast, in my opinion. Sometimes you want to go to even in this bar, like you want to have chill drinks, just talk and drink, right? So my circle of friends have this term called speed. Like once they say speed, you have to down the glass, and when you chuck it, when you touch down, they'll pour you a new glass. So so we like do that. And like yesterday we finished a bottle in like 30 minutes or 45 minutes. Yeah. I'm like, no, no. And so there's a curfew, right? Everything closes in 10:30. So at 10:15 you have to get out of the bar.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow. Okay. Well, I'm glad you're okay-ish, and I'm also thankful that you agreed to take this call, or rather to be on the show. I know it's like a bit random, but still, I think we're still gonna have a great time. I wanna get right into it though, because you were just talking about Myanmar and blah blah blah, and a huge part of all of this has to do a lot with Myanmar, yeah. So, can you take us back to when you finish uni or poly or whatever, and you were like, I want to move to Myanmar. What the hell happened? Why would you even think of Myanmar in the first place to go? Because I don't think a lot of people, especially the ones who are abroad, would think of actually coming to Myanmar to start something. Like, what was the thought process behind all of that?
Um so maybe taking 5 years back, 6 years back. So yeah, like every other kid in everywhere, you just have to get a degree, especially in Singapore, right? So like after my poly, I went to take a degree, but during the transition phase of a degree itself, I was actually I enjoyed baking, like I enjoyed like baking. So and then I was helping a friend. It was a neighbor of mine. At that time, he kind of started it. It was called Elijah Pies. It was
What?
baking Elijah Pies in
Elijah Pine.
Singapore.
Okay.
Elijah's Pies. Yeah. So at the point of time, he was baking for some small cafes, just doing wholesale in terms of the B2B model. And I mean, we were really close, right? So every day I go to his house, and then I saw him baking, and I decided to help him. And it was quite interesting. So we could we started scaling the business. We wanted to, like, okay, we're having good traction of customers. Uh, should we open a cafe in Singapore? Versus B, should we just continue the wholesale business and look for other opportunities overseas? So I mean, we definitely chose B because at that point of time, I mean, Singapore being Singapore, there's two biggest costs, right, for a business. First of all, is your rental, which is ridiculous, it's super expensive. Second of all, manpower cost is also really expensive, right? So we were like thinking, okay, how old was I? We were 20 years old, and then we were like, do you think we can set a business in Singapore? No, I don't think, not with our funds, right? So we're like, okay, let's look overseas. We had a friend actually. So my first thought of opening a cafe was actually in Vietnam.
Vietnam, right? I knew it. It was gonna be Vietnam. Yeah, that golden triangle, you nasty bitch. That
And
golden triangle, that's where you're gonna stick. Either that or Thailand. It's probably
Yeah, I was thinking Thailand. I was like,
I still have open in Thailand. Sure, open in Thailand. I'll still be there, man. But yeah, so it's actually Hanoi. We had a friend who was based in Vietnam at the time. He was helping with one Singapore property development firm, and he loved Vietnam, right? So he was going in and out, and then he had a mutual friend that he introduced to us, and we wanted to open in near the Hanoi University. We went there. Actually, we went there on a trip. We went to see the place. It was not too bad, near the university. But at the time of point, it was like we were all in the army, right? We couldn't like go there and station ourselves there because I was in army, he was in university. We didn't have time to go there. And second of all, like, the coffee culture in Vietnam, per se itself is really strong, right? Super, a lot of French influence. Like every other random store is a cafe, right? Just
yeah,
you put stools outside, you sell Vietnamese coffee, you're a cafe, and you serve good pastries, right? So you're thinking like, it's going to be very competitive because we're going to introduce something like a premium product in a sense where it's like espresso coffee, right?
Hmm.
And we don't have time to manage the business. And are we going to like trust the local to manage like 90% of the operations while we handle it offshore, right, in Singapore? And I have an army, he has university. So the idea died down. So we're like, okay, never mind. Just focus on the business to business, like back in Singapore. So it grew over. When I was in uni, he was in uni. I went overseas a bit, and then he was helping with the business. So I came back and helped out. And then, but I didn't want to give up that idea of opening overseas, right? Especially after I came back from university. I was like, do I want to follow the typical Singaporean life, like get a good degree, come back, I was benching off my brother, right? He was working in the bank. And I was like, 9 to 5, nothing to do, meet friends, drink, come back. And I was like, no, it was the thought process, right? I was 24 years old. I wanted to try my what I want to do. My parents were still young. They didn't need me to come back to work, and they're financially supportive themselves, right? So I just paused the idea. I came back. I was helping out with Elijah Pies, but I was watching the news quite a bit. And I think how Myanmar attracted me was because it was the pre-elections. The pre-elections time. NLD is coming in. Democracy. And I was like, hey, just pretty interesting, right? Looking at the news, and then I saw so many like foreign direct investments coming in. Singapore. Then you see like Korea, Japan. And I was like, oh, this is pretty interesting. I want to travel. And I remember it was like pre-Chinese New Year, and I wanted to like just leave Singapore for a bit because I was overseas for quite some time, right? And so I told my parents, like, I'm going Myanmar. Then my mom's like, you going Myanmar? Why? I'm like, travel, just to go and see the place. And then it's 3 weeks before Chinese New Year. Why are you traveling? I'm like, it's fine, don't worry. I'm just going there for like 3 days. I just booked a flight. Like, literally, I just booked a flight. Did some research on where do I stay, and then I was in Myanmar. Like I was just there.
Wait, you do? Yeah, sorry.
No, but sorry.
When was that?
That was in February 2014.
Wow.
February 2014.
Sounds
Yeah,
fantastic.
I was. Yeah, so I just booked a flight, and I landed in. I'm pretty sure where you guys know where. It's like Pansodan.
So done.
Ah,
Yeah, I was in Pansodan. I booked a hostel, and then I just went there. Right?
Wow. Wait. So did you know anybody when you were coming here?
No, I didn't know
You
anyone.
came alone as well.
I came alone. Like
Wow. Okay.
I just
was
landed
fun.
there. Yeah, it was fun. Like I landed there. I went to the hostel, and then I think there were a lot of like my thought process was like let me see the coffee culture, right? Or let me see if there's any developments, right? Because at that time, Pansodan, it was just there was no development there. I think there's no development there. So I just walked. Like I just went out to the hostel. I walked along Pansodan, and I landed at like Chinatown. 18th, 17th Street.
Yeah.
It's a shit. Yeah. But I was trying to find a cafe. Don't get me wrong. It wasn't because I wanted to walk there. I was just trying to find development, like coffee places, right? And all I saw was like small coffee shops along the blocks of the building below, the lower blocks. And I was like, oh, coffee is like 50 cents, 40 cents per cup of coffee. And I was like, this is quite hard to do business, right? Like 40 cents. I was like, what's their margins, man? Oh my gosh, 40 cents. How to make money? 40 cents, right? And I realized there's not many people in the cafe because Myanmar at that time is still a tea culture, predominantly a tea culture, right? So I was like, I just went and just walked and walked and walked, and I walked all the way to Chinatown, right? And I'm like, shit, I don't see any more. Like, I thought Yangon was that, like it's just lower blocks and all the way, and you see like markets and small cafes, right? And then I kind of gave up, like, okay, never mind, tourist mode, just go and see the place, right? And I like going to see the places, and I came back. And then my mom like texted me. She was like, "Oh, I have a Burmese colleague that is based in Myanmar right now in Yangon. I'm going to ask her to meet you." I mean, my mom I think is probably afraid lah. It's like this idiot child of hers go to Myanmar alone.
Better ask my friend
So,
to pick up on him.
like what is this guy doing, right? Yeah. So I mean, fast forward it, I met her, and she asked me like, "Oh, which part of Myanmar or which part of Yangon have you been?" I was like, Pansodan area because I walked right and I walked back.
That's it.
Literally that area, And then I was like, just bring me to a mall. I want to see a mall. Like I want to know where the mall, like where's the like Orchard Road in Singapore is or Thong Lo in Bangkok is, right? And she's like, okay, I bring you. So she brought me. We took a taxi, and then we went there, and then we went to Junction Square. That's the best mall at the time, 2014.
That's true.
But it was totally amazing, right? I mean, 2 days of seeing just nothing, right? I just saw a mall. I was like, oh wow, this one, quite nice, huh? So, I mean, I went in, right? Obviously, I went in because it was summer at the time. It was super hot as well. So I went in, and I was like, oh, this place is the shit. It's so crowded. It's like packed, like super packed. Like the promotion spaces, everybody was there. You see the jewelry stuff, and then you see the like I think there was an arcade on top as well.
Yeah.
Super packed. Yeah. And I saw Ya-Kun. That was when I opened my eyes. I was like, oh shit, there's Ya-Kun. So Ya-Kun is like Singapore stuff, right?
Yeah.
I was like, oh shit, I really need like coffee, man, like kopi, like hot black coffee. So I just went in, right, and then I saw the prices, right, and I was like, shit, this is like Singapore prices.
Yeah.
Yeah, in Myanmar chat, right, and there are people like so many people like drinking coffee, right, and eating the bread and the eggs,
Yep.
And I was like, oh wow, this is something it's something feasible, right? There is a Singapore establishment. It's already in Yangon, and it's obviously working. So I was like, oh, okay, this is interesting. I think this mall is really good, like, because it's so packed, right? And there's a cinema on top. I still remember. Ya-Kun was just outside the cinema.
Yeah.
And I was like, okay, maybe there's a chance that I can do business in Yangon, right? Or in Myanmar. Yeah, and I asked her like, oh, this place, I asked my mom's friend who's a tourist. I was a local, right? So I was asking her information. Oh, how come you all like Ya-Kun? This place what is this place about? How come it's so famous? And I see the prices. It's like slightly, it's definitely cheaper in Singapore. But I also thought that there are two things, right? So Singapore rental and manpower was expensive. In Myanmar, I had the assumption or the understanding that rental is definitely cheaper in Singapore. Manpower is definitely lower in Singapore. And if we can sell similar to Singapore prices, it's like just a standard thought. How is that not to make money? There is an opportunity gap already, right? So I just thought about it, and I really wanted to open in Yangon. But sad to say, it's a bit hard because I know that my mom's friend is just working in Yangon, and to open a business in a developed country or developing country itself, you need certain contacts and connections, right? And obviously, it's hard. So I was like, okay, never mind. I there is a thought that I want to do it, but I have to wait for the opportunity, right? So
Yeah, that was tough.
I just traveled, I did my thing, I posted some photos, and I went back to Singapore, right? And like, funny enough, like because I posted on Facebook, right? And then one of my business partner, who's my business partner now, he saw it on Facebook. He's Singaporean, and then he was like, "Oh, what are you doing in Myanmar?" I'm like, "Oh, I'm just traveling. I want to see the place again. You know, I want to see the place, and I want to do some business." And then he was like, "Oh, okay, that's interesting. Why don't you follow me to Myanmar next week? Because I'm going to meet my Burmese clients." And I was like, "Oh, sure, of course, let's go." And I booked a flight again. Like, and it was like 2 weeks before Chinese New Year again. 1 week, last week before Chinese New Year. And my mom was like, "Why are you going to Myanmar again?" I'm like,
Did you meet a girl?
you know, Asian moms being like, "Do you have a girlfriend in Myanmar?" I was like, "No, I don't. I'm just going there with my friend." And yeah, so I went there again, right? But before that, before that I had to prepare some documents, because I basically prepared like a small pitch of what I wanted to do in Myanmar. And so I went there, we met his Burmese client, and then which was a partner, and I pitched to them the idea, right? And then we fast forwarded it. So it's like, okay, let's try to set something up. So the next thought of motion was like find a place, right? And there were certain developments opening around Myanmar, right? And I was very lucky. I got Myanmar Plaza actually, where Artisan was at. It was really a very, very coincidence spot because there was no information about Myanmar Plaza online. Like you couldn't find anything on it.
Yeah.
There was only like, oh, development Myanmar Plaza. And then I was actually going to another development where just nice I passed Myanmar Plaza, and then I told the driver like, stop. I see what's this place so big, you know? Like the buildings were coming up, right? And I went into the showroom center. I was like, oh yeah, I want to open a cafe and stuff like that. And they were like, oh, sorry, fully booked, no slots in the shopping mall. I was like, it's already packed since like last year or something, or early this year itself. And I was like, shit, missed the opportunity, right? And then I was just talking to the leasing agent, who is still not my friend. And then she was like, oh, we might have a spot, like, but do you want to go and take a look? And I was like, yeah, sure, just go and see. So it was literally a quaint spot in the middle of two towers, right? We see two, and Billy, you guys would know.
Yeah.
And it was a terrible place to be at that time. Like it was just like
It's right
just
in
like
front
a
of the
piece of
elevators from the parking lot.
yeah,
Like
it's just terrible. It's just like it's like an engineering defect gone wrong. They obviously wanted to put more space for a bank, but then I think they messed it up and there's no space. And like, okay, let's just put one random cafe inside, or F&B or kiosk concept, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So I took a look back, right? I mean, I think in order to speed things up, I wanted to I was looking at it. I was like, okay, this place is not too near the mall. It's a bit hidden because of the towers, but the good thing is there's a lift opposite, which is the car park lift, and I'm in the middle of two towers, right? So it's on certain considerations, right? A, how fast will the office towers be ready? B, how filled will they be, right? Or what's the occupancy, right? And I look at it, I was like, okay, all along in Singapore, we've always been doing business to business models, right? Hardly business to consumers. So I thought like, hey, maybe this place is a good space for me to replicate the business model that I did in Singapore, which is the business to business or supplying to cafes and businesses. So I was like, okay, fine. Did some calculations, calculate the initial investment, and then I pitched to the partners. We got the capital out, and then boom, I said, okay, I'll try. Came back and forth Myanmar just to see the
Maybe a
place, just
little to the left.
Or losing half your space.
to negotiate.
That's too much.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's good. Go.
Sorry, because you're
Sorry. All right, okay, keep going.
Yeah. So I guess I came back and forth, and then I decided to stay in Myanmar 2014 September. So it was like a span of 6 months going in and out the country.
Yeah.
And then I decided to stay in Myanmar 3 months before the opening, which was on January 2015.
Wow,
Yeah.
that's all very fast. Like you went to
Yeah.
the first time in March,
Some
and then by the end of the year, you were up and ready.
Yeah, I mean, there's no choice, right? Yeah, the mall was coming up, and then they were like, okay, this is your time period for renovation, your fit out period. and then you have to get things going. And then I was doing like the whole project management stuff myself, right? So like choosing a renovator, choosing the material, watching them like fix the shop, like a whole lot of things, like finding sourcing for ingredients. And it's not that easy in Myanmar, right? Finding like suppliers, who are the people bringing in kitchen equipment, and going to the market, seeing what kind of like raw producers they have, so that I can create some products for the cafe. So it was a whole in and out, but yeah, so kind of like lived there ever since 2015 September, 2014 September. Yeah.
But can I ask, because you were talking about it as well, um, like how much of it was fake it till you make it? And what I mean by that is you went to Myanmar, you don't even know the people, the language, you don't know, like maybe you've had an experience before, but then in Myanmar you don't know, like you said, where to get the ingredients, where to get the materials for the right look that you want, whatever, and the furnishings and everything else, and the equipment. You weren't sure, right? But obviously that didn't, or at least that didn't affect you in your decision making to say I'm going to open it anyway. You had an idea, you found the right opportunity with the right people or the right timing. Myanmar Plaza again, right opportunity. So you just decided to jump on it. You were going to do it, and then you'll figure out how to get the ingredients later, and then you'll figure out whether there's a barista good enough to do this kind of stuff. Then you'll figure out everything else. Was that the mentality? Because if that was the mentality, then is there any part of that that is like, you know what, fuck it, like yes, of course I can do it, but like you're faking it till you can make it, but eventually you make it anyway.
Yeah. So I'll give you an example, like coffee. When I went to Myanmar, I didn't know shit about coffee. Like legit, I didn't know. I just like latte, or I like coffee, right? And prior to
You
like,
wanted to open a coffee shop because
yeah,
okay.
legit, man. And I knew how to, and like even for me, like baking, right, was like YouTube. Like my best friend was YouTube. I learned some stuff through YouTube. I knew some stuff that I learned from together with my friend, but like it was just all research and trying, right? And I'll give you an example, like coffee. So 3 months before I stayed in Myanmar, which was September, I was working part-time, like as my friends, one of my clients' cafe. And I asked, so I was supplying cakes to him, right? And he was like, hey, then I told him like, hey bro, I need a job. Like, huh? What? You need a job? I was like, yeah, I just want to work in your cafe. And I was like, why? I'm buying cakes from you. You're my supplier. And I was like, yes, I know, but I just want to learn how to make coffee. So I was like, okay, but I cannot pay you like a full-time salary. So I was like, okay, what's your part-time rate? And he was like, okay, $7 per hour. I said, deal, take it, I'll take it. So I just went there and just stationed myself as a waiter and near the barista, right? So the barista was my friend. Then I started asking him, hey bro, teach me how to make coffee, right? But it was only a short stint, it was like 2 months. And when I went to Myanmar, like I could only extract coffee. I couldn't even do latte art, right? I was still like screwing up or fucking up with the milk shit, like frothing milk. I couldn't still do it, right?
Yeah.
And I got worried. Like, I was like, shit, okay, open cafe, but don't know how to make coffee. This one is something.
No, sorry. There's an actual thing. There's like the angle and the pressure of the steam,
Alright.
and the depth that you go in. It's an actual
Milk frothing itself is like temperature sensitive, and it's introducing air to the milk to create foam, right?
Yes.
And you need some practice or anger or actually like a muscle memory, right?
Yeah.
Which I obviously don't have in 2 months.
Yeah.
Wow, it's much more complicated than I thought. All I thought was like hold a cup and press a button.
No.
And then, oh yeah, it's coffee.
Barista work is
What a bitch, man.
you think
Forgive
like
me. This
magic
guy drinks 3 to 1
Hey
coffee.
man,
too much Starbucks, bro, because Starbucks is just like that. It's just pressing, okay, grande. So, like, oh my gosh, like, so what happened was the cafe was like still in the midst of opening, right? So I opened it in phases, right? I opened the kitchen up first to test the equipment. And like before I was opening, I just kept pulling shots every day of coffee. Like I just keep grinding on, I keep trying. And I think I put like 1,000 shots. And then I started like getting better, right? Like I still video my friend who's in Singapore. I was like, bro, what happened to my coffee? Why does it look like that? And like we had to do Zoom meetings to teach me how to like do it properly, right? Like video the process, and it was terrible. Like, but I think like what you said, like faking it to make it. Like the coffee part was the biggest experience, man. It's like really legit. Like, how am I going to open a cafe if I don't know how to make coffee, right?
but you learn it on the
Wait,
way.
wait. How did you
I
even
already
pitch,
told you, Situ.
how did you even pitch this to anybody? You know, like how is it like how the fuck did you pitch? I'm gonna open a coffee shop in Myanmar, but I don't know how to make coffee. Like, how did you do that? You
I just
you
let out
tell them
some of the.
that you knew how to make coffee, or did they even ask? So you're like, I don't even have to tell them that I do.
I mean, they didn't ask, right? The majority, I think a lot of times,
They're like,
it's
oh,
the idea. People buy
he's gonna press a button.
It's like, coffee, press button. Press button. No. Yeah, but I guess a lot of times it's the idea. I guess it's like
Yeah,
people buy into the idea and buy into the person itself, right?
yeah,
The the willingness to uproot yourself and try an idea. People buy into the thought.
yeah.
Yeah.
That's true. Yeah. Like, you don't need to convince your partners. You know how to make coffee. You don't need to convince them that you know how to make money.
If I couldn't make that, I just sell ice drinks, man. To you guys. That should be easier.
There's an ice cream shop in the middle of two offices. That's actually not bad. Actually, it sounds.
I mean,
But all right,
no
so
coffee.
you did the coffee shop, and I wanna skim through the next few years after that, because you did quite a bunch in the middle. You had a tea shop, which was also a central kitchen, which was then you had an accounting service or something like that with your friend, our mutual friend. Then I don't know, you did a bunch of stuff because you had the consultancy, right, advisory thing, and you were doing a lot, right? But again, it's in that doing a lot. Before you went to do any of that a lot stuff, would you say was like the part that you struggled the most with just the coffee shop when you first started? Struggled
Just
the
the
most.
coffee
I'm
shop
sure there's
itself?
a lot, but like the most.
Um, I think the biggest challenge I have was in the coffee shop was actually, I would say, managing the staff, like people there first. It was a big challenge for me, right? Firstly, language, right? Obviously, there's a big language barrier. Second of all, I think culture as well, working culture or the understanding of what people know, right? So like a lot of times like Singaporeans they go to Myanmar and then they're like, oh shit, the culture is so different. Why are people like that? Why do they do this? Why don't they understand certain things? Like, but then after living there, right? I mean, over the years, it's not about. I feel that it's not people's fault. Sometimes it's just people or like my Burmese staff, right? They just don't have the opportunity or the things that we've seen before, and we can't blame them. If you never see it, you'll never know how it works.
Hmm.
And for us, as I mean, for Singaporean, I've seen some stuff that is works in Singapore, and I want to replicate in Myanmar, right? So it's not about getting angry and putting your frustrations to them, but it's actually taking patience and sharing things with them, so that they can see what you see. And when there's that alignment itself, things get much better. Like you start like okay, I'll give you an example. Like in Myanmar, a lot of people say the attrition rate is very high. People start to leave. People don't like to work. Like they just go one job, they run to another job, family problems, they leave, right? Oh yeah, for me, I faced it before. My staff leave.
Yeah.
Sometimes like my staff tell me that my parents don't let me work here because it's too far, or the boss Singaporean, they scared, they're afraid of some stuff, right? But over the years, once you see that culture where you started like telling the staff, hey, this is something that I want you to learn, this is better for you, and they do believe it, then this manpower leaving rate is just very low in terms of people stay. Like, yeah, so that was the hardest part, I think, in terms of managing manpower and expectations of my staff. Yeah, in the cafe. Yeah.
Okay. But then let's get to the other part, which was after that when you tried a bunch of other stuff.
Wait, but before we move on to all those other parts, just wanted to ask a question, right? For all these other
Mm.
businesses, were they also in Myanmar, or were they both in Singapore as well?
For which, sorry, you got distorted for a bit. What were we saying?
So I was just asking for all these other businesses that we're going to talk about. Were
Oh.
they located in Myanmar, or were they in Singapore?
Yeah, I mean, they're all bulk of them were in Myanmar, like
Wow.
Singapore businesses in Myanmar.
Oh, he is a
Yeah.
serious.
Yeah.
He's a
You
serial
can say that.
Yeah. At one point, he was also an organic farmer.
bombing.
This is a prime example of fake until you make it.
Oh.
I remember. I'm gonna tell the story, man. Screw you. I'm exposing your ass. I'm exposing your ass. So okay, this is as he's trying these new things, and he realized his coffee shop he needs something else or something to solidify, and he feels like there could be synergies with other like selling other products or selling other services. Some of the stuff he thought about was like a copier kind of machine with a cafe, right? Because there's between two offices in case you got to print something or whatever. The other things he thought about was I think it was smoothies. Was it? It's smoothies, right? Smoothies.
But smoothies came.
Yeah, but okay, no, the smoothies came, so he did partner with the smoothies. But the thing was, when he did partner with the smoothies, or before he partnered with the smoothies are organic, right? And then sometimes the way he would explain what new is coming is as if he's an organic farmer, like as if he owns a fucking farm of organic fruits and he's bringing it in to the cafe, to bring the smoothies. This guy sells himself and sells like everything else, like fucking amazing. But you did do the smoothie thing with organic farm, with the organic, not farm, with the organic fruits, and then you did the Lebanese thing too, right?
Yeah.
Was that a really good decision? Because I felt like it was. I felt like like everybody else wanted to come more, but I don't know if that's just me.
Yeah, so I think I always focus on collaborations, right? I think collaborating something that like my thought process was okay, artisan is there already, the cafe is there. Our products are pretty limited, but we're known for coffee and we're known for like maybe pastries, right? And let's collaborate and see how we can make things better for the cafe. That being said, also because for me itself, why I only had like one coffee shop or cafe itself was also more towards like I always focus, like I wanted artisan to be a entry point to Myanmar and a meeting space. It wasn't to expand the cafe business, but also like to expand my network of what I can do in Myanmar. Like for instance, like the consultancy business or the one where I was helping Hewlett Packard and stuff like that. So I think that was more towards my plan or my entry point for Myanmar. Right? So I was like, okay, I think having a good food option is good. I obviously don't have the skill sets to make Lebanese food, right? And someone came to propose this idea. I was like, okay, let's see how we can collaborate. And then I wanted to also another player in terms of like a better drinks version, right? In terms of doing organic fruit smoothie, not the farmer, just the fruits.
Organic part.
Yeah, and then it was a good idea. I think it was a good moving point for artisan as well to transition into something a bit more substantial. Yeah. But I mean, COVID and stuff like that naturally followed, right? Yeah.
But speaking of COVID, that's recent, right? I mean, I think we're now coming to you today. When COVID happened, you still had the shop, but COVID was quite a lot prolonged than you thought, maybe than everybody thought. We thought, first wave, second wave, probably that's it, at least in Myanmar. But it lasted what, a year, maybe a year and a half? Is that how long it's been for you? No, it's been 2 years, is it? I don't even.
I think it's been 2 years. It's almost 2 years already. It started last year in January itself, right? Oh no, last year actually. 2020. Is it 2020? Yeah, 2020. COVID was
2020.
Okay.
When everything started lockdown.
So in those 2 years of COVID is after which you decided I'm gonna go back to Singapore. I'm sure it wasn't an easy decision, but like tell us what that was, because you like I said, all the things you were trying out, right? They were all in Myanmar. So for you to, and that was like I don't know how many years ago. My hands are on both sides. So my hands. You think we're far? You think we're far? But we're like right here. I know he can't see it, but like, the audience can't see it. Anyway. Anyway, so.
Why are you covering Willie's face?
No, because you can't see. No, never mind. So anyway, so like. It must have been difficult to say I'm gonna drop all these business ventures I had, everything I invested, let's just say not just money, time, but also maybe even heartbreak and other heart, related things. Yeah. So anyway, we don't have to talk about that today, but I'm just saying, like, all of that time, all that years, you had to just leave behind and just go back to Singapore again. Like, was that just a no-brainer to you? So it was no stress. It's like, yeah, duh, Myanmar's not gonna do well anymore now, so I gotta go. So no-brainer. I'll just figure it out. Or was it quite emotional? Was it quite stressful to think about just shutting everything off and I'm going?
Yeah, I think it was a very emotional process. So what happened from my perspective was like when the world was having COVID, right? Myanmar was still okay. There's not many cases. Things were still okay. There was a bit of fear, but everything was still running, right? And I remember like uh, when COVID got into Thailand itself, and into slightly a bit into Myanmar itself, things were getting a bit more hysterical, right? And I was like, shit, I can't go back to Singapore, right? I want to be in Myanmar, right? And I thought like, oh no, maybe COVID, 3 months, things might get better. So I was like, I flew to Bangkok like on the same day once I land down, and I flew back to Bangkok with a friend just to get a business visa, right, extended.
Just to get a business visa, went to Thailand. You
Yeah,
weren't
really.
having fun either.
No, I had fun and I come back and then it was for work. Back there for work.
Okay.
And then it was like, and then I had to what happened was I stayed there, right? I think I still remember it was in March when I came back from Bangkok to Yangon with a new business visa, right? And it just got locked down, right, all the way, like time and time, all the way until it opened up a bit in June, July, and then it closed in August, and then it locked down again, right, all the way, right. And at that time it was like 8 months, I think 8 months of in and out of Myanmar, in terms of lockdown periods. The biggest decision was like, when is it enough? Like, what? Because it's always a very big step moving towards the unknown, right? Too much ambiguity. Like, oh shit, do I close the business? Because obviously the rental was still running. Business was badly affected. I think it was like 80%, 90% loss of sales. And then it was like, that being said, like, what am I going to do in Singapore? Because I spent the bulk of my teenage years in Myanmar, right? And my career was, or my initial career was there. And I think the biggest push was like, I took a step back and I started seeing things on more macro level, right? Okay, Singapore being a developed country, how are we grappling with this also? And we cannot solve this, right? And Myanmar, it is also having this situation. And I started understanding that the countries with better financial resources will be able to battle COVID a bit more effectively. And let's just say Myanmar needed more time, right? So it was it was a heartbreaking decision. I had to like tell my partners like, hey, I think it's a good run. I think we did our best in 5 years. Do we still want to keep the business, or should we just take a pause first? Because at the end of the day, the mall will still keep asking us for a few things, right? Which is the rental expense. And even if salary I can cut to the minimum, there is no income to fulfill these two criteria, right? Yeah. So took a flight back to Myanmar, and then I started putting steps into closing the cafe and then keeping some of the equipment so that we can slowly like sell it off once the country gets better. No? Yeah. To the other businesses, we tried to do things remotely, like back in Singapore. But let's just say that right now with with COVID itself and then the coup itself, right? It's really difficult, like especially with the financial risk. It's a bit too much for a lot of businesses to handle as well. So everything just took a temporary pause. I'm still paying some staff actually back in Myanmar.
Oh, so today?
Yeah, till today, still paying them. But I mean, this is just like okay, we know that we want you, but just please bear with us. Just this is like a token of appreciation, just to wait until things get better. Yeah.
Right. Okay. And again, shutting the coffee shop is one thing, but and that was partly COVID. But I think the time when you were like, yeah, okay, definitely I should probably go, was probably during the coup, right? I mean, after the coup, because you were still there, you were still in Myanmar after the coup. It was
No, it was before the coup, man.
it was before the
I
coup.
left. Yeah, I left in November 2021.
Oh,
The coup happened in February 2020. Sorry, November 2020. I left. The
Jack's,
coup happened
Jack's the one
February.
here.
Yeah.
Jack was the one who was okay. My bad. Okay, but okay. So you went back to Singapore, right? Now, and you did something. Now you're working for a very well known company in Singapore. Let's not try to put names, but and you're in the more, I would say, sales forward role right now, and I think that's really working out for you. Is that correct?
Mm. Yeah, yeah. It's a very.
You're meeting
I
your
think it's a
KPI
very good job. Right?
more
Yeah,
time,
the
and
time
you're
and
being right. Yeah. So I was wondering. So like, because I was thinking, to be honest, I thought it'll be tough for you to go from a entrepreneurial mindset to now I have to go work for somebody else. Um,
yeah.
and listen to what somebody else says I should do. Obviously, it depends on how much autonomy you get from your manager or your boss. But regardless, you went into a company, which is completely different from what you were doing before. I thought you would struggle, or at least you would feel stressed or not good about the whatever you're doing, and you would just not do it, and you'll try to find a business venture to do in Singapore. But you're actually doing well. Is that because of the it's a sales kind of role that you're good at, where you got to talk to people, or like what is it?
Mm, I think it's a like different various factors that add up together, right? First of all, yes, it's a sales role. So I think in terms of planning your time and space, hitting your KPIs, it's all up to the individual, right? Which is myself to plan, obviously. I think second of all, also the product that I'm actually selling, it's very in line to what I'm very used to, right? In terms of I've worked with them before, I understand the pain points from both ends now as the customer and as also as the corporation itself, right? So it's easier for me to pitch it to different people, how the product works. Yeah, I think I had initial thoughts of like, oh, how do I adapt back to Singapore, right? That was the biggest pain point. Like, oh, how do I adapt back to Singapore culture? Now I'm working for a corporation. I understand there is certain corporate structure, but I guess the beauty of it is I think it's being an entrepreneur itself or trying some small business itself. It's about being adaptable, right? It's also understanding certain positions and also understanding how can you adapt to situations itself. Even if you're an entrepreneur, even if you are working for somebody, you need to understand the pace in the room. You need to understand the culture in the organization itself. I think, yeah, yeah. That being said, I mean, it's 6 months since I started this job. Things are going well. Actually, a friend in Myanmar is is together with me as well. We're in the same role. I think he enjoys it as well. I think there's good autonomy itself in this corporate structure. Yeah.
But I want to talk also about the other thing you're doing while you're still doing your job, which is, let's just call it trading, right? And that's doing well too. But I want to ask this: out of all the things you've tried, okay, which would include the current job, which would also include the trading thing that you do, every single thing that you've ever done. Um, Tell me what is the best in terms of returns? Like what has gotten you the most bang for your buck? Like the you invested and it got you the most return, right? What is
Mm.
that one? But if that is also not the one that has made you the most happiest or excited about, then what is the most the thing that was to you the that brought you the most happiness or the most enjoyment?
Mm, I think I would say in terms of enjoyment for job itself, like obviously starting your own business is something that's more fulfilling, right? It's a fulfillment, right? You see something, an idea generate into a physical tangible product, and then like for instance the cafe itself, it's fun, it was really good. Like I meet new people, I like talking to people, they coming in for their coffee and then you have a chat with them, it's something that I enjoy, something that I look forward going to every day as well. In terms of, well, financially, it's not the most happiest because of you have certain overheads. Overheads are definitely higher, right, as a business. I think the most fulfillment in terms of financial wealth would be my current role as well, and also my trading itself. I think those were the best returns itself. Yeah, I mean it's something that I enjoy as well, right? Especially for the trading. So, um, it's it's the whole step process. It's very engaging. It's fulfilling. I like to see the start to the end of things. Mm.
Okay, okay, okay. Fair enough. Fair enough. Fair enough. Um, if anyone was listening, right, or like if anyone watching was I mean, one of the things why I thought you'd be interesting was because me included, I go to school, then after school I go find a job, and I just keep I either get a new job or different job. I just get a job basically, and if I've ever thought, oh, I want to start a business, I want to try something new, which I've tried once and it didn't work, but that's not the point. It's just what I'm saying is it's the thinking behind, oh, I want to do something. It's a lot more complicated because it's not just about if you want to do it, you can do it. Because there's even a case where you want to do it, you don't know how to do it, but as long as you do it, you're gonna end up knowing how to do it. I mean, that's what you were following, right? In the sense that you wanted to do a coffee shop, but don't know how to make coffee, but you're not, fuck it, I'm gonna make a coffee shop, then I'll figure out how to make coffee. You know what I'm saying? I think that's a big difference in the mentality. And so, but is that just how you think, or was there at one point you had to flip a switch, or like you've always just been like this guy who's just like, yeah, of course I can do it. But do you know how to do it? No, but I'll figure it out. And then if I think it's a good idea, of course I know how to do it. Is that how you're all, like, wired?
I used to be a bit more risk averse when I was younger before coming back to Myanmar. I think in terms of I think I was a typical Singaporean school kid, right? You study and then you say that, okay, I want to go to a good university, and then I went to army, so like everything's very structured, right? Okay, finish a whole 2 years. I think the biggest turn point was making the decision to stay in Myanmar. Uh, Ever since then, I think it's a good experience as well because it has shaped my ideas to, like you said, there's an idea, there's a thought. Can I fulfill it? Is it worth the try? Let's try do it. As long as I try to do it and I see how it works, maybe I can try to do it. But if not, then just move on. At least I tried. It's a new idea. Let's see. There's a market gap. Let's see what we can do about it. And can we scale the business, more importantly, right? But yeah, that's my current view of things. Even for work itself, it's the same thing. Like when I see a problem itself, and then I just like, okay, is this problem really, like, how can I solve this problem, or what's the issue right now? Let's take a step back. Let's work on things in terms of, don't see the problem first, let's see what the step to go to the problem. And if you can solve these steps, I'm pretty sure the problem is not that big. So that's how I view things right now. Like it's in this perspective itself.
For me, it's I don't know. It's a bit tough because I'm always thinking like, oh, sure, I want to do that, but I don't know how to do that. I don't have the money to do that. Okay, maybe it's for a different time. I don't know. Like, you think about it differently?
Um, for me, I think it's a little bit different because growing up, my mom had her own business. So I've seen the challenges and the rewards of running a business. Um, at the same time, looking at mom struggling doing everything herself, made me sort of realize that there's something that I don't really want to try yet, at least for the time being. So I guess that's where I am, and in the similar track as C2, I guess. Finish university, get a job, another job, and then get no job.
But your goal is retire early, kind of, right?
In a way, yes. I think it's less about retire early, but it's more about I guess it's just a matter of thinking, right? It's a perspective, just doing something on your own time, that you don't have to commit your time to anything else.
Yeah.
Which in a way could be retire early as well, but I think it's just another way.
But what about you, Gabriel? Like what's next? Are you gonna retire? Is that the plan? 50, 40, whenever you can, you retire, or what?
I don't know. A part of me still wants to try doing something back in Myanmar.
You want to come
but-
back?
Yeah. If I'm brutally honest with you, yes. Part of me still wants
Nice.
We'll see you there one day.
You can't take the Myanmar out of Gabriel.
Hey.
You can't.
Part of the equation, bro.
What
part
do
of
you like about Myanmar, by the way, yeah?
What is this?
I think it's too early for me to give up and say like, oh, I've done my best and I run my shot. Like, I still see that country has a vast amount of opportunity. It's just wrong place, wrong timings now. But I think at every turn, there's more opportunity itself. Yeah, but pacing that idea, saving up, seeing if the opportunity comes, and then see if I'm prepared to come back again. But I mean, it really depends on phases of life, right?
Okay.
It's very subjective itself. I might say I love Myanmar right now, but after 2 years, if I if there's certain things that I have to stay in Singapore, then it's going to be a bit tough. So it's also understanding which part of which phase of life you're at right now, right? Yeah,
So if
but
you,
Myanmar's a very country.
is it coffee again, or is it something else?
I'm not too sure, but maybe more in definition of trading. I think trading
Trading.
itself.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay. But let's touch on the last bit of crypto. Tell me a bit more about your adventures with crypto. How is it going? How much did you put in? Are you at a positive? Are you at a negative? Where you at? You know, like tell us.
It's terrible, man. I'm learning through the painful aspect.
So it's
Thank
just
thank
started
thank
very
thank God I have friends that can guide me a bit, but yeah, I'm learning it through in the painful aspects of life. Don't ask about the sum.
Tell us like the digits or how much have you put in? You put in this quite amount of like you think a few thousand or like tens of
Yeah,
thousands,
it's like 5 digits, man.
5 digit. Wow, wow,
wow.
wow, wow. Did you put into the more famous coins or you try to get the the coins that you thought would rocket?
So part of my portfolio is like 20% stable coins and 80% risk. Let's fly to the moon coins.
Wow.
Are you anywhere close to the moon right now with crypto?
That's very subjective. The moon being the black hole or the moon being
The moon being where you want it to go.
just stranger. You
But I don't
know,
understand. Okay, Billy and I, we talk about crypto all the fucking time, okay? And we're just like, even if we believed in the blockchain technology, and again, by the way, in all disclosure, we're not crypto experts, but we've read and we've watched whatever as much as we can, so we understand the use case of it. We understand how it's pretty revolutionary, sort of, but buying into crypto to me sounds like a fucking huge risk because it's everybody else that's buying it. I cannot trust that they're doing as much research as even I am, and I'm not even doing enough research. So if they are not doing that, they're just buying it because they want to jump the bandwagon and get rich quick because everybody else is getting rich quick. Then I feel scared because it's like like once they get rich, they're gonna sell, and now I'm the guy who believed in it and invested in it is now losing because all that money that I bought from like the price that I bought from before is going to be so much lower. So did you buy it because you wanted to get on the you wanted to get on the get rich quick train, or you bought it because you understood what the fuck you were buying?
I mean, understanding on it is just very surface for me. Like, understand, like it, had some spare investments. Why not? Let's try. Yeah. So I mean, like, but for me, it's more towards like I'm just diversifying itself. So
Hmm.
like for me, I just like to diversify myself, especially even in Singapore, right? And it's a competitive society. It's not just about having a job and then surviving itself. It's expensive to live here, and you need to take certain risks as well. I mean, calculated risk, not just like going to casino and just like bam, baccarat, win. It's more like let's see what investments I can do. So certain pipelines, how do I when that pipeline is ready, do I take out my profits or all my losses from that end to shove it to another side of the avenue? But I mean, it's something that I'm trying to do right now, and just figuring things out also in Singapore, right? About a year since I've been back. So crypto, let's try.
So you're just gonna keep it though. Are you gonna, as they call it, hodl, or what's the strategy here?
For me, I have like an investment sum that I want to get back at the end,
Oh,
like a
okay.
permanent
You have a
interest, right?
target.
Yeah,
Yeah,
exactly,
yeah,
right.
okay.
Yeah. So yeah, I'm not like going to hodl all the way. I'm not. I think it's more towards like if I hit a certain figure that I want in mind or I've set for myself, then it's time to let go. Yeah,
Makes sense.
that's how I'm looking at it. But I'm no expert. Don't take my
That's
word
why
for it.
I'm not
I'm
buying.
learning.
That's why
That's
you
why I'm
won't
not buying. Look at
buy.
him. Look at him. He's waiting for the price to go to a certain point, and he's gonna dump all his shit, and then the
I'm
price
terrible.
keeps going down. It's just,
I mean, but it's yeah. I mean, but a lot of people believe in this though. Like we have friends that believe
yeah,
in it, right?
yeah.
Yeah, and they're doing not that bad. I'm very proud of them. So I'm trying to learn from them as well. Mm.
Do we know these people?
Yeah, you know him.
Okay.
He's together with me now. We're working
Okay,
together.
okay, okay, okay.
Yeah,
Famous guy. Yeah. We
yeah.
might get him on the show one day. I'm not really sure what we'll talk about. I'm trying to decide whether we talk about his promiscuity or whether we but whether we should talk about his business ventures too. But I want to ask this thing before we close. What's the takeaway here for Gabriel Lim? What's the takeaway from Gabriel Lim rather? Is it live by the philosophy of fake it till you make it, and you will make it, and don't worry about the small stuff, just do it. Is that the the morale of the story? What's the
Yeah, I guess at the start you can fake it till you make it. It's very important to try things out. I think that's for me as a timeline. Right? When you are younger, you have the energy, you have the time. Just try everything. Just try it. If it's something that interests you, dabble a bit into it, understand a bit more first, and then you start finding out more about yourself as you go up to the different phase of life, right? And then you will realize that, hey, I'm better at certain things that I've done, and I do realize that I have the passion for it. Then I will focus a bit more in depth into it. Yeah. So I guess that's my fake it till you make it motto of life.
Try everything.
try everything?
Try everything, man.
Right.
Just try.
Right. You try? Have you ever
Try-
tried? You're about to go there. Have you tried anything illegal, by the way, on the record?
No,
The internet to know.
in the business sense only, man. In the business sense.
In the business sense, tax evasion probably. let the Singapore government know where to find you. Let
If I have a coffee session, I'll text you, bro.
No, look, a lot of the talk shows at the end of the day, or at the end of the show itself, would allow for a plug, right? Like, because you came on the show, it's also an opportunity for you to sort of advertise your latest project, your latest thing. I don't know if you want to do that because I know you have this ice cream project on the way, but I don't know if you need to add any advertisement for that. But what I can do is at least put up your Instagram tag so that people can follow you and see how beautiful you are. Is that okay with you at least? Instagram
Sure.
tag, what will do for you?
No worries, you can. You can. I'm okay.
Okay.
Gabriel Lim Kopi, right? Gabriel Lim Kopi.
Yeah. I'm okay. We just get the tag right.
Kopi moments, man.
Yeah, but I would love to have you more often, like another time, because I want to get into the funnier things, like reasons why girls think he's gay most of the time that they see him. Many other stories like that. I want to get into it, but for today we're gonna keep it, I guess, more educational.
We start with educational, then we'll transcend up to more fun topics.
That is true.
If anything, it's your fault. We're supposed to take shots so that we can get loose, get loose in the conversation. You're having diarrhea from yesterday's drinking session.
Said too many shots, bro.
Yeah.
Too many shots, man. One too many shots. That's why.
You have shots. You had shots last night.
Yeah, like sour plum shots.
That sounds good, no?
That sounds
It's not that bad. It's not that bad. But when you make shit up, it's a recipe for diarrhea, man. Yeah.
Wow.
All right, Gabriel. Thanks a lot for being on the show.
No worries, man. Thanks for inviting me.
And hopefully this even airs on the internet. Hopefully we have even anybody watching this damn show and is interested.
The link before I air it, I have to see it. I will do a
The thing
retweet.
is, like, I won't be surprised if people clicked on it. They're like, fuck, 40 minutes. 50 minutes of these three guys talking. What the fuck? And they just post that shit.
Hey,
So this is a direct message to all my friends that are actually kind of closer to me. If you don't watch this shit for the whole episode and you're not supporting this shit, I'm putting it on you. That's what I'm saying. That's all I'm gonna say.
Yeah, it's a good time, man. It's a good time. We should just all watch it and laugh. And wait, but I'm gonna watch it first before I go live. I have the first dips.
Why? You didn't say anything wrong. What are you scared of?
Yeah, it's nothing illegal, bro.
This is so. Oh my gosh.
All right. Thanks for watching the show, guys. Thanks to Gabriel Lim as well. This is Titu signing out.
Really?
Thanks for having me, man. Situ and Billy.
Nice gift
Ciao.
coming. Enjoy
See you,
Singapore.
man. See you. Bye.
Come on sometime. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Thailand, no?
Thailand.
Yeah.
He's actually left.